what someone else says about you, like their perception of you, isn't the truth of who you are. And that can be really hard when you've got people who are triggered by you and who, are just triggered by you being your authentic self and existing. And you just have to remember that other people's perceptions are often projections, and their lens of you isn't always the truth of who you are. Most of the time, it's not the truth of who you are, because it's filtered through their lens of awareness. And that's then filtered through all of their own beliefs, all their own limitations. So like, you can't be trusting, that other people know what's best for you more than you know what's best for you. Now this goes for like adults. If you're under 21 and you're with your parents, then yes, your parents do have, they do have your best interest in mind, because your frontal lobe is still developing and your brain is still developing. But if you're over 21, if you're over 25, if you're in your 30s, like, other people do not know what is best for you. They can sit there and say that they have your best interest at mind, but like, what is actually most aligned for you. And this energy is triggering, like, you're having other people be triggered by your existence just so that you can anchor more deeply into knowing and trusting who you really are. That, okay, someone else has an opinion of who you're being and the way you're living your life, and they can have their opinion, but you don't have to adopt their opinion as fact or as truth. You can just see it as, well, that's their opinion. It's not the truth of who I am. I decide the truth of who I am, not anyone else. And so when you have other people who might be criticizing you, might be judging you, might be triggered by you just being your authentic self, you have to come back to that place of anchoring into, this is who I am. I get to decide who I am. I get to move through my life in the way that feels aligned for me, because I'm a sovereign being. I'm here on planet Earth, and I'm here to move with my autonomy. It is your birthright to move with your autonomy. And so other people don't get to decide the truth of who you are. And I know it's hard when you might have someone who's saying all sorts of horrible things to you that hurt, and some people say the truth hurts. No, I personally don't believe that. I feel like criticism hurts. The truth, in my opinion, the truth can be soft. The truth can be compassionate. The truth can be delivered with a level of tact and honesty that can be received in a way that actually helps more than hinders. Because when someone delivers truth in a very brutally honest way, it actually forges more disconnection, because there isn't any consideration to how is this person that you're delivering that truth to, how are they going to receive it? Because if you're coming from a place that really doesn't take how they feel into consideration, and doesn't take into consideration how they're going to receive that, you're most likely hurting them more than you're helping them. Even if what you're saying has the best of intentions. You can be saying something with the best of intentions, but if you're not delivering it in a way that has been reflected upon of how the other person's going to receive it, you might actually hurt the relationships that you're trying to actually help. And you might actually cause that person to not feel safe with you, to show up as who they are, because of the way you're delivering something that you have to say to them. And so if you're someone who's on the flip side of that, which I'm sure if you've been listening to this message this long, you're like, oh my God, I'm on the flip side of that, where other people have, expressed their brutal honesty, and it has actually been more hurtful than it has helpful. And you might have other people who are really triggered by you being who you are and just moving in a different way than them. And just because someone's triggered doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Just because someone is triggered by you being your authentic self doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's actually common that when you're moving with a level of authenticity and expansiveness that most people aren't, you are going to trigger a lot of people, because they see you moving with a level of freedom and authenticity and autonomy that they have not yet claimed for themselves. And because they haven't yet claimed and chosen that for themselves, they can be quick to judge you, criticize you, have all sorts of mean things to say to you, just because they're triggered. But it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Keep being you. Keep being the audacious badass bitch that you are here to be, because you are here to live and move with your sovereignty and move with your autonomy, because that's what you're actually meant to, like, that's what you're here for. You're here to move with your autonomy, and other people can have an opinion about you moving with your autonomy, but that's just it. Their opinion isn't fact. Their opinion might be their truth, but their truth isn't the only truth in the room. And it's time for you to trust your truth about yourself over the opinions of other people in the room. Doesn't mean we invalidate their truth. It's that we can recognize that all truths are true from some perspective, but my truth about myself overrides the opinions that other people have about my truth.